Welcome, everyone. This is the Ends Justify the Memes, the show where the lowest of the low, that is the most wretched of wretched and deplorable, to end all deplorables. Two white heterosexual Christian males from the American South talk about culture, philosophy, history, health, fitness, and what it means to be a man in the 21st century. I'll be your host, Bill, and this is my producer and co-host, Tank. And below today, we have our friends from the Weekly Narrative, two Californians, Jeremy and Delaney.
What's up, everybody?
So, crack open a beer and lend us your ear because the ends always justify the memes. Man, no one interrupting?
I know, that's what I was thinking.
Last week when we had Elliot Hulse on, I couldn't get the last part out, which was fine. We just started talking. But then it was even worse with Adam Kolkesh, you know.
Oh, God.
That was
like
a episode.
When you told me you were getting on with Adam Kolkesh, you may recall this. You can probably watch the replay. You could hear me make an audible groan sound because I've done that with that guy before, and I knew exactly how it was going to be. And you got to experience the Kolkesh effect because, now you know how that goes. You can just say, "Hey, what's up, Adam?" And then 3 hours later, you get another word in.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because I was looking at my my time about 20 minutes in. I was like, man, we got another hour or another 40 minutes with this guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun.
Let's go.
He's a guest, but I'd like to have a back and forth conversation, and it wasn't quite that way. I was watching him last week. It's funny because I do catch a show on occasion and watch snippets of it. And he was bringing up the point and arguing over the whole super straight thing. And I'm like, as if it wasn't going to be inclusive to certain people and whatever else. And I'm like, what is this crazy libertarian nonsense? Like Tank and I come from this sphere, right? Where we were very much into Austrian economics, libertarianism. I don't know how much he was compared to me, but we come from that ilk, right? Mm-hmm. And we still believe in many of those principles and philosophies, but I think we also understand the reality of human nature and the dire situation we're in. And I'm not trying to give up my principles at the same time. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm worried about, hurting someone's feelings when they're trying to basically say your existence is not right with me unless, you have sex with me because I am trans and I get everything I want. It's completely antithetical to voluntarism and libertarianism. So I don't understand why you would support anything like that, but
Libertarian Party in general has just lost the plot entirely.
Definitely.
Have you seen what happened with Nick Sarwark recently? I'm surprised Nick Sarwark doesn't have pronouns in his bio yet on Twitter because he's doing the same thing. I don't know if Kolkesh is getting his lines from Sarwark, but Sarwark is the chair of the Libertarian Party, by the way, if you're not aware. He's been on Twitter talking about, all these social justice things and how illegal immigration is good and, we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings and all sorts of stuff. They've lost the plot completely.
God.
Yeah, and I kind of tried to mention that to him, tried to talk to him about that, like, politely. And it was just like, oh, no, I just think that America doesn't receive the Libertarian Party. And I'm like, I'm not really into parties. I've never been part of the Libertarian Party. I was a registered Republican from the time I was like 18 to like 25 or something. But, around 25, I was like, I'm not really into this whole party system thing. So I just don't get it.
A little too much autism there. A little too much autism. They understand the principle. They got the principles, but they don't understand how to market the ideology, market the philosophy properly.
Well, I personally lost all respect for the Libertarian Party when they nominated Joe Jorgensen as their presidential nominee.
We don't even want to talk about that.
I was like, awful. What? Why are they picking this person just because she's a woman and she's a doctor? Oh, okay. All respect's gone. Sorry, y'all.
Well, I think libertarianism just becomes, when it comes to, they disagree with each other all the time. It's been like that, forever. But when it comes to them versus everyone else, it's team sports once again. And that's the problem with having basically team politics, having party systems, and just being ideologically driven instead of being able to look at things on their merit, right? Individually on their merit.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, Tank, you got anything, man?
Trovo was fucked up, but I fixed it, so yay me.
Nice.
Doing his job, making that big bucks, earning his keep.
Yes, Tank has us up on Trovo now since D Live is basically doing whatever with political content, burying it. Yeah, well, we don't get any viewers anymore on D Live really, and we used to always get random viewers. In fact, often more viewers on D Live than YouTube. So, and they're looking at being bought out by Microsoft for $10 billion if they do not go public. So that'll be the death of D Live. I'm more than certain.
Yeah.
Is D Live owned by Discord?
Oh no! It was Discord. I got those two confused, brother.
Oh, okay.
That's
I
my
thought,
dyslexia
yeah.
and
Discord's
real
getting
world
bought.
function,
Yeah.
real world time there. Yes.
to
Discord,
fact
not
check you there.
D-Live. You are correct. Either way, man, Discord's important too. A lot of people communicate that way. So with all that said, Tank, let's do some memes, man. Let's run the meme cast.
Hell yeah. Let's do.
Hey!
Starting off, we have Joe Biden is falling down. In case you guys haven't seen this, Joe Biden had a little trouble walking up the steps toward Air Force One the other day. So
Surprised he didn't break a hip.
All right, Joey, up the stairs.
hold on.
All right, Joey, up the stairs, but watch out for that sniper fire.
Hold on, guys. For some reason, this is not working the way I want it to. I'm going to have to move this here. There we go.
There we
There we
go.
go.
Not my fault.
Not his fault at all.
All right, Joey, up the stairs, but watch out for that sniper fire. No, Judy, get down.
Oh no.
Get with you. Get up, you dumb bastard. Don't say it. Good boy, Joey. Get in the plane.
Yeah, he definitely broke something.
You could see him limping a little there at the end.
Yeah, you could definitely tell he's like, oh damn it, my hip, oh my shin.
Yeah, it says Jesus fell 3 times carrying the cross while on the way to Calvary to save us. Biden also fell 3 times carrying the hardship America is going through on his way to deliver hope. Today, God looked upon Biden and said, "This is my son, the beloved, in whom I am well pleased."
Oh my
But
God.
you know, it's not over yet for Biden to visit Harambe and all the rest of the legends.
Harambe
God.
and Tupac and
Rip.
Kimbo. What's Kimbo?
Billy Mays,
Kimbo Slice.
Prince,
Yeah, man.
Crocodile Hunter. No, not Crocodile.
Yeah,
Billy Mays.
yes.
Michael Jackson, Paul Walker, R.I.P. Oh my gosh, the real stairway to heaven.
Right. Then we have Kamala Harris watching Joe Biden trip on the stairs. Ooh, almost had it. Dang on that White House in front of her face.
Jeez.
So here's actually what happened in case you guys didn't see it.
That's a good one.
Then we have new documentaries coming out. Joseph R. Biden.
Joe. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I knew these memes from this were going to be good.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh.
This is Daft Punk too, right?
I think so.
They're no longer together.
All right.
They broke up.
The obelisk. Wow, somebody green screened that whole sequence. It's hardcore.
Find half the talent of these meme makers.
Right?
It says this is for canceling cartoons.
Oh, George.
So the media says White House blames win for Biden fall on Air Force One steps.
Of course they do.
Yeah, it wasn't the fact that he's old and feeble. It's the wind, right?
Those
Yeah,
3 mile an hour
100%.
breezes.
I don't know what this meme is because hold on. Say that shouldn't be in order. Here's what we're supposed to have: Joe Biden, all the media's protection stairs.
Oh my god.
Then we have the actual calls.
Turn down for what?
No, Trump plays golf. It wasn't
better,
baseball.
Yeah, the golf one's great. It's a good shot.
Whoop. Sorry, guys.
Good job, Joe.
Yep, good job. He made it.
So we could give you hundreds of clips like that. We have done. We didn't want this to go on too long, but I just want to say it's it's very sad.
Sad.
Very sad. It says parody video showing Trump knocking Biden down Air Force One stairs could lead to assassination attempts. MSNBC analyst says.
Of course
Wow.
they did.
Yeah.
It's super serious.
Yes. So you have to understand, we inherited broken stairs from the previous administration. We'll circle back to that. Meanwhile, it says, in other news, the Secret Service has announced that they're changing the president's code to Stairmaster.
Oh,
I know. Poor Joe.
Kind of needs one of those things, not going to lie.
So here we have just checking. Has the wind blown any of you down 3 times today?
oh.
And he's tied down. Oh my God.
Mr. Kim, I'm really glad you called me. You suck. Bring back Orange Man with hot wife. Listen, fat, we have nukes. We have stairs.
Send in the stairs.
From ABC News, Russian President Vladimir Putin has reacted to President Joe Biden, calling him a killer by challenging Biden and to take part in a conversation with him broadcast live online. And the Biden administration declined that. He also wished him well.
He said he wished him, I wish you good health, unironically. That's the key word. He
Yeah,
said
he said
unironically.
Unironically.
Right? Then we have Mexico install stairs to keep Biden out.
Definitely deter him.
It's probably because of there was some secret symbolism there. If you didn't notice,
Oh shit!
white supremacy.
Is this a white nationalist dog whistle?
It's everywhere. It's everywhere, and it's coming for your children. So we know there's been a border crisis recently. There's not a lot in the news other than
Challenge. It's a challenge.
Yeah, a border challenge. Is what you're
It's a
saying?
challenge. Yeah. It's not a crisis. It's a challenge.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just a seasonal thing. It doesn't have anything to do with Biden. Or the fact that they're wearing Biden shirts. That's what they said. They said it's seasonal.
Mm.
Well, so we know this is going on. Biden falling down the stairs. There isn't a lot really that's super relevant in the news other than a few topics right now. And of course, Biden said that Donald Trump remains in Mexico policy is dangerous, inhumane, and goes against everything we stand for. As a nation of immigrants, my administration will end it. He says, yes, I can say quite clearly, don't come over. Biden tells migrants, don't leave your town or city, community, he added. And that was after they were pouring in when he was an idiot, was like, yeah, come in, amnesty for all.
Not nonverbal communication, I feel like, is good, right? If you can convey in thought without having to type it out or say it, to me that's better. So like you wouldn't have to say, hey, don't come over if you just had a fucking wall at the border and you couldn't come over anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good point, Tank.
Well, speaking of policies, it says, sire, the border is being overrun with children. Well, don't be racist. Find them a cage. But it's not cages. The cages aren't quite up like they were. It's no longer kids in cages. It's kids in cellophane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Which, by the way, makes for a tasty, tasty treat.
Oh.
But don't you worry about Joe Biden because he's just being carried along by, his buddies. They're going to prop him up as long as possible.
Oh yeah.
And with this migrant crisis, of course, AOC made a debut once again. Just could not get past the travesty of these emergency blankets all the way to the border, in fact. And even the turnstiles of Canada.
Oh wow!
Oh wow.
Yeah,
busy.
it's a shame.
Yeah, she's been getting around.
Yeah, well,
And she never got her white suit dirty.
Never.
it is in DC. It is DC. They both get around and never seem to get truly dirty.
Hey.
In any case, so speaking of Canada, it says Biden administration weighs flying migrants to Canadian border as surge grows.
We're outsourcing our immigration policy.
Just send them to Canada. It's all good. They'll take care of them.
Hey, lots and lots of land. Not as much infrastructure, though. I mean, we have plenty of land. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, they got a lot of trees up there. Lots and lots of trees.
my question is how are Mexicans, Central and South Americans going to do with that great Canadian weather?
That's what I was going to say. It's a death sentence if you send them up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They've probably never seen snow in their entire life unless they're from like Peru and live on a mountain in Peru.
Yeah, and here we have Columbia University hosting 6 separate graduation ceremonies based on income level, race, ethnicity. And MLK going, what the F are you all doing?
Right?
And this seems to be actually the crux of it, right? I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will not be judged by the content of their character, but by the color of their skin, their gender, and their sexual fetishes.
Wow.
Twitter.
MLK is woke.
Made a lot of progress.
Yeah. Speaking of progress, Krispy Kreme is offering free donuts. In fact, all year long now, from what I understand, to anyone who can show that they're vaccinated.
How much you want to bet there's going to be a surge in fake vaccine cards now?
I mean, I think Krispy
Diabetes.
Kreme sucks, but I got a
Hey
local
now,
donut
whoa,
place.
whoa, whoa, whoa,
Whoa,
You've never had
whoa,
crumpies,
whoa.
sir.
Whoa.
You've never had crumpies. Let me.
Well, hey now.
All right. In any case, so Ann Smith of Attila's Gem says in
Mhm.
response to this, in light of the Krispy Kreme giving free donuts for receiving the CVD shot here at the Attila's Gem, we are giving out free memberships to all who don't get vaccinated. We believe in health the real way, exercise, good diet, plenty of vitamin D, zinc, and all of the environment to de-stress.
Hell yeah. That's what they should be doing, giving out free gym memberships.
Yeah, instead, doctors are going around doing this. I'll be back with your test in a few minutes. I'm afraid you have COVID. Hey, yeah, I mean, Magic 8 Ball is pretty good. I mean, if you like
Magic.
ambiguous answers.
It's magic, so of course it's good.
Right. Sorry, Tank. But when you get Bell's palsy and permanent DNA mutations from the vaccine, but at least you
Oh my
didn't
God.
get a flu.
No shit. Okay, so I did get the vaccine.
You got a vaccine.
I
He's
did get
got-
it. And here's the thing, like no shit. Like, you can hear a lot of people say stuff like, "Oh, I got the vaccine and I feel like Superman." I have never been more sick in my life. Well, maybe once. But that second dose, like no shit, put me on my ass.
There's an article with
It was
a,
insane.
there's an article, I didn't put it in this, but I could have, but I was like, with a 17-year-old girl. She didn't look like the healthiest of girls, but she got the vaccine and ended up dying after she got ill because of the vaccine.
Hmm.
So, not
It's been
counting
about
those
1,000 of
deaths,
those
though.
so far. Yeah. We don't want to talk about that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just want to focus on the 500,000 that did die from COVID, supposedly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here, this is a little blurry, so forgive me, guys. It says, if anyone has signed up to this experimental mRNA, please stay away from non-participants as you are in an experiment and have been genetically modified, entered pathogen priming, thus making yourself sick. No one knows the effects you can have on others' health. It would be selfish. And below it, it says bio-apartheid goes both ways.
Wow.
Yeah, Tank,
Wow.
stay away.
Yeah, Tank, stay away from us. We want
Okay.
your germs.
Okay.
That's why you're across the country from us.
So this is thalidomide was a rapidly approved drug and just quickly rolled out the market, introduced in 1957 to counter nausea, insomnia in pregnant women. It was marketed in more than 50 countries before being withdrawn between 1961 and 62 due to malformations in newborn babies. Oh, excuse
Ooh.
me.
Nice one.
Thank you. Yeah, it was rather weak, but sure. So let's not just trust the word of untested things immediately that are rushed, is all I'm saying here. And taking off your mask. So easy, even a caveman can do it.
Yeah.
Miss that guy.
Speaking of vaccines and the coof, we have breaking news. The Cedar Sinai study has found that injecting men with female sex hormones reduces severity of coronavirus infection.
What?
Wow.
Trannies
Okay.
are immune, apparently. I don't know.
I mean, trainees are pretty immune to a lot of things apparently, but they can't handle any form of criticism, which is kind of sad.
I do know that I did see another thing about this. It was progesterone, which is not that not a super female hormone, I would say, but still, that doesn't seem right to me. Just
Depends
sounds
on
like
who you
more
talk-
agenda. I'll put it that
Yes,
way.
depends on which doctors you talk to, I guess, because
Right.
you know there's no consensus in science anymore.
The term biological male is now a serious anti-trans slur, according to trans rights activism.
Oh,
It's
God.
still okay to have a debate and disagree, but folks in media, the term biological males is a serious anti-trans slur. You should not use it without noting that.
Okay.
I know what you word I'm going to be using now.
Right.
Right?
Everywhere I
White-
can.
Right. White birthing women are terrorists.
Well, yeah.
The terror unleashed on the world by white women and their insistence on producing white babies continues to plague black communities and keep them from succeeding. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I married a white bread instead of a Latin girl.
Hey,
It
just real
happened.
quick. I have bad eyesight. Can you tell me what the last name on that author is?
I was going to make that joke. I believe it's
So,
Alex Goldberg, if I'm reading correctly.
Goldberg.
Let's do an early life test on that.
And then they have
Are
to
you
spell
all
Alex
insinuating
too.
something about some certain group of people?
It just so happens that every article I see telling white people to kill themselves or not breed happens to have like a Goldberg or a Stein.
I've noticed
or
that
something
too.
like
Have you
that
ever?
on there.
I haven't brought it up. I haven't used it, but have you seen the articles talking about how, what is it? Black men and Jewish women are perfect together and stuff like that?
Oh wow.
Like, no joke. I have the memes around, but I just
No.
haven't used it for the show.
You
Yeah,
know, that's kind of weird because a lot of like this is no joke. This isn't even like trying to be funny, but like a lot of Jewish people I've met are very like ethno-nationalist. You know what I mean? Like they're yeah.
More
So
than
it's,
anybody.
it's well, I mean they're one of the only ethnicities that have their own country. So yeah, it's you know that's weird to hear that.
well, and we have it's interesting because we have, if you look at the breakdown of actually who commits like the anti-Semitic crimes, we have more black folks doing that and say Middle Eastern folks towards Jews, generally speaking, than any other racial ethnic group. So it's just weird. And there's been this weird thing, especially in New York. It's a very old thing. You talk to anyone who lives in New York City about this between the Jews and the blacks.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of tension there. So it's just kind of weird propaganda one way or another.
Same kind of thing for like the Chinese and the blacks. Like the Chinese generally don't really like the blacks. And
Bro, if you go to China, you'll hear the most racist
Oh
shit.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it would make a Nazi blush over here. Like it's
Mhm.
real shit.
oh yeah. Like if a traditional Chinese girl comes home with a black man and says, I'm going to marry this person, her family will like freaking disown her.
Oh, yeah, it's
Well,
rough.
that's the reality of the rest of the world versus where we're at here in the West. And people seem to think it's something different, and they're just clueless because they've never traveled. But here we have an elected Milwaukee judge who is a CEO of a group that organized a drag queen story hour event, has been arrested and charged with 7 counts of child pornography. Imagine that.
Yeah, total shocker.
Mm-hmm.
And after reading all of this, looking at these memes, this is basically where we're all at right now.
I like that. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Everyone's just on YouTube watching cartoon shit.
Mhm.
I like that song.
I know 20 guys on Twitter that have that exact cartoon as their profile picture.
Oh,
No
dudes.
doubt. No doubt.
Yep, they're all dudes.
Oh God.
If you ban COVID-19, it'll stop killing people, just like if you ban guns.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Got to stop
I
killing
mean-
people with the virus.
I'm banned it at my house and have yet to get it, so it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing how that works. It says, me knowing Joe Biden can't take my gun because I keep them upstairs. This is true. Unless one is on me or near me or I'm about to leave with one, they're generally where Joe Biden cannot reach them. And speaking of guns, this is a little old, but it's just, it's just awesome.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Is that Ron DeSantis' face photoshopped down there with laser eyes?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is amazing. That's the winner of the day for me right there. Number 1 meme for me.
Well, we're a little bit more than halfway through, so we'll see. Maybe I'll have something else. So, guys, Florida's pretty cool with stuff like that. And DeSantis said, yeah, we can do that. By the way, if you hadn't heard, all the fines, like Holst was telling us about this, all the fines of anyone who might have violated a mask mandate somewhere municipally, within a county, whatever, have basically all been paid off or going to be paid off by the state government now, according to DeSantis. So that's
the state's
pretty
going to pay themselves.
Yeah, right. I know. They're right.
State's gonna pay their
Just gonna
counties.
delete that column in Excel. That's basically
Jeremy, I have worked for the government much of my life, and I can tell you that's exactly how it feels like when you're paying taxes and you get a paycheck. It's like, what's the point of this? In any case,
Yep.
Decanter Community Day of Peace. This is a gun buyback program. They'll give you for assault style rifles $350, which is you might be able to buy a pretty decent lower receiver for that, but
Yeah, right.
I mean, you can actually buy a pretty decent lower for like 200, 150, 200. Same with the upper.
Wait a second. Wait, it says no questions asked and no ID required. So you could steal somebody else's gun and then just sell it for $300. I would love to see if that incentivizes a lot of gun theft.
Well, Jeremy, that's how degenerates think, and no one who owns guns could possibly be a degenerate. I mean, not according to the left. In any case, so back to Florida. In Florida, they had a buyback as well, and once he demonstrated that they worked, they paid him $200 each.
Is it a homemade gun? Wood.
You can do it.
He's got like $30 in that gun. He just made.
Yeah, that's
$100.
what I'm about to say. Yeah, that's like 30, 25, 30, $40 a parts.
Will they take a paper gun? I've seen somebody craft a gun out of paper. Will they take that?
I wonder if they'll take BB guns.
Ooh, yeah.
So this has been the other big issue of the week, of course, is gun rights. And here we have from Made by Jim Bob.
I love Made by Jim Bob.
Abortion is a constitutional right. I don't recall that being spelled out in the Constitution, but the Supreme Court said so.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we make guns illegal, then nobody will get shot anymore. That's how we stopped everybody from doing drugs.
Yep.
Yep. Totally works.
It's funny when that happened, a lot more people got shot and a lot more people ended up doing drugs. It worked with alcohol prohibition too.
Yeah. We made alcohol a freaking amendment in the Constitution, and that definitely stopped people from dying from alcohol poisoning and making their own alcohol.
Well, there is a historical reason for that, though, Delaney, because back then people understood that it was not constitutional for the federal government to say you can't drink alcohol or put drugs in your body.
Mhm.
They don't have the right to do that, at least as originally envisioned. They have all the guns now, though, so and the bombs
Right.
and the money and the
Mhm.
power, the institutions, the media, all those people that Waco, folks and Ruby Ridgem and whatever else they do.
Those Waco folks.
Yeah, you're about to get Waco'd. You know how it goes. If you outlaw abortions will just happen illegally. But if you outlaw guns, we'll all be safe from gun crime. Again, just the
That
same,
chick, man.
the same,
Big Red.
yeah, retarded logic.
Would you
Gun
smash
control.
though?
No,
Okay.
No,
absolutely not.
never. Gun control. Yes, it's that stupid. So speaking of gun control, I had the memes I have today because of the three big stories in the news, which is Biden falling down the stairs, the immigrants, and guns. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff we could talk about. We could harp on about gas prices and inflation and everything else. We could talk about Cuomo, but I do that every week. So let's talk about how white supremacy, any crime in the media, trying to cram that into a car. I don't know if you guys have ever watched this video, but it is mind-boggling that these ladies cannot figure out that this will not fit.
That's from a video. When they actually try to get that fit. No, Jesus.
Oh
They
wow.
change the position over and over.
Never just thought to put it on the top of the car and tie it down.
Well, spatial reasoning is not women's strong suit, so
It is not, but
sorry.
that's a little on the low IQ level, I would assume. That's all I know. I mean, if she thought it was a mattress that you could squeeze in there, maybe I would give her some points for the flexibility of it, but that's a box spring.
Yeah, that's the box spring, yo. Like you can't bend that thing.
You see the woman giving the finger? I'm
I
pretty
know.
sure it's because whoever's filming is making fun of them.
Yeah.
I know I've seen this before. It's old. It's quite old. In any case, let's keep moving.
Like, no, we got this. We're strong, independent women. We got this.
That's right. It says the shooter was taken into custody. In other words, it was almost certainly a white mannequin. If he were black or brown, he would be dead. Then after we find out who the shooter was, let's mourn the victims, but not glorify the killer with the attention of having his name widely known. I generally subscribe to that policy of not glorifying mass shooters or anything, but unfortunately today we will not be doing that. It says Aurora, 12 dead. Charleston, 9 dead. Atlanta, 8 dead. Boulder, 10 dead. See a trend? And then it says, thank you for not giving the offender any time by releasing his name. Notice that they always release the name when it's a white dude, though. It's really interesting. Really interesting. It's always an angry white man. Always.
Yeah, totally.
Always, is it always though? Is it always?
What about the Virginia Tech shooting? That good dude was Asian.
Only the ones you hear about. There's 3 that happen a week, but you don't hear about them because they're blacks shooting each other in inner cities.
I'm about to say, yeah, Chicago, Baltimore, yeah, parts of LA, Detroit. Boulder, Colorado, another mass shooting in the U.S., another white guy with an AR-15, another achievement of the NRA. You, Mr. Carlos, whatever, you're a tard. You're just a tard.
Blue check mark strikes again.
The NRA is like the most cock gun rights institution there is out there. There's nothing that the NRA does. The NRA isn't propping up guns. They don't have a lot to do with most of the gun industry in reality, because a lot of people realize what the NRA is, which is basically like allowing the slow roll of your rights to be taken away. I don't know. Then we have, I'm extremely tired of people's lives depending on whether a white dude with an AR-15 is having a good day or not today.
Or really, Muhammad?
Yeah. Yeah, interesting,
Is that
right?
what you're worried about?
Yeah.
Again, it's all these blue check marks trying to tell us about guns and stuff. It's like, no.
Oh, yeah.
I don't.
Then we have Miss Amy again. It says, I don't know why this is so hard for those whose minds are stewing in the trash of Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax, etc. The shooter's skin is white. That's the whole point. People with white skin get treated differently than people with black and brown skin.
Yeah? You sure about that?
Yeah, they also shot him, so
Yeah.
how about that?
Not Talcum X, though. Don't be confused.
Yeah,
Tank's
don't
talking
forget about Talcum X.
Yeah. One last time with old, Crazy Pants here. It says Trump has been shockingly and tragically successful in whitening America, keeping people with brown and black skin out, while ICE carried out roundups. Needs much more immediate coverage. Of course, that was from 2018, and then we find out this shooter was a Muslim extremist. I don't really know if he was an extremist Muslim per se. He was a Muslim that definitely had some issues. If you've looked into any of the stuff that he's had to say in his social media. Here from Ramses Paul, CNN already making excuses for terrorists. I don't recommend them doing this with the Atlanta shooting. Blah, 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 blah. But yeah. So this would be the normal thing, right? And the normal thing is if it's someone who's on their team, then they explain it away. But the normal thing would be to say, oh, this guy did have mental health issues. This is why he shot someone up. Much like the Asian shooter from the other week, which we'll get into in a minute. Here, I like Michael Moore's take. Not really, but he says, the life of Ahmad Ali Alawi Alissa shows that people can come from all over the world and truly assimilate into our beloved American culture.
So I thought when he said this, he was making kind of like a based statement of like, yeah, you know what? Maybe multiculturalism doesn't really work. So you could interpret it that way. When I read this from Michael, I was like, oh shit, okay, all right, Michael. Yeah, but we all know what he's really trying to say. He's really just trying to say that American culture is trash, right?
It's trash and it's violent and xenophobic and full of hate.
Well, when he's saying it, mass shootings specifically, I was watching Sargon talking about this. He actually brought this up today, and actually right before we went live, I was watching him, and he brought up this tweet, and he's saying, well, yeah, America does have a mass shooting problem. Do we really have a mass shooting problem? Like, is the problem really that bad in America? Well, it appears to be. It's more like a media problem. Most of the mass shootings that happen in inner cities. And statistically, we're like 66 in the world per capita. Like, that is deaths per capita for mass shootings. We're something like 66 in the world. So is this a matter of
those numbers up?
What's that?
We can pump those numbers up. I think we can get them a little higher.
Yeah, number one.
Agreed. I'm just saying. Is it a true problem of the culture? I'm not saying the culture doesn't influence this either, as the Asian shooter seemed to be an incel or something of the sort. And it wasn't seemingly racially motivated, but sexually motivated. But like, again, people aren't looking at the statistics. There's always the propaganda narrative, right? There's always the media narrative, and that's what's important. And what's been going on recently has been the drive for more and more gun control. And speaking of which, I'm gonna have to go back a little bit and find this, but give me a second here, because somehow this got out of order. There it is. We have old David Hogg here. He says,
okay,
it should not be easier to buy an AR-15 than it is to vote.
Oh, I don't think he's ever had to go buy an AR-15 in his life.
Exactly. And then we have, it's easier to buy an AR-15 in this country than it is to buy Sudafed. That's really effed up. And then sticks Sex and Hammer says, no, it isn't. Yeah, guys, background checks, universal background checks pretty much already exist unless you're going to regulate intra-state, inside the state, commerce, which the federal government has no right to regulate.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm saying, all these people who are all touting for gun control, they probably have never in their life ever gone to a gun store to try to buy a gun and seen the hoops you have to jump through in order to just buy one and even qualify to buy one. So yeah, they're just ignorant.
Right. And then here's another factor. It says all 10 Boulder, Colorado victims were white.
Oh,
Time to end anti-white race hate.
I can be down for that. Yeah, I've been saying this for a while. We need to stop this anti-whiteness.
I don't know if that guy is ethnically Middle Eastern or something, but he looks very white. But he's a Muslim with a Muslim name, an Arabic name, and why would not this be just turned around the other way? If the real goal was to destroy racism, why wouldn't we point out every instance of racism?
Well, because when it's white people, we're taught to not give a crap. So,
Well, you can
or
only
they deserve it.
white, Delaney. Get it straight. No other person who has a little bit of melanin in their skin can be racist.
Right?
Yes.
Totally.
It says in 2007, however you say his name, Tank.
I don't speak Korean, bro.
Huh?
Sejong Hui Cho. I think. I don't know.
All
I'm
right.
just guessing. Since I have a little Asian in me, I tried to take an attempt.
Okay, I'm gonna try it. Here we go. Sung Hwai Cho.
There
you go.
I think is what it is.
He killed 33 whites at Virginia Tech. The media and the government claimed that it was important not to blame Asians. In 2021, a white man killed 6 Asians and 2 whites, and the FBI admitted that there was no racial motive. The media and the government blame white people. Suspect in Atlanta area attacks said that they weren't racially motivated. Experts say it doesn't matter. He doesn't get to decide.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I got into an argument with someone on Twitter about this.
Oh, we love Twitter fights.
They were like, you can't, we're not, because he said it wasn't racially motivated. I was, getting hand jobs from these Asian chicks and I felt guilty about it. And they say, so when do we take the word of mass murderers on their face? And I said, well, perhaps you remember a guy named Dylan Roof who shot up a black church and he said he wanted to start a race war. Did you take him at his word? And of course they did, because they want to believe in, white supremacy and all this stuff. So the one example where there was actually some white supremacy, they were more than willing to take the guy at his word. And then now that this guy says, nah, I just like getting handies and I feel bad about it, now they're like, oh, we can't believe him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we don't believe it when it's not racially, when the guy says it's not racially motivated, we don't believe it. We have to make sure that he's demonized and tell everybody he's a liar.
If it's white on any other ethnicity, it's automatically white supremacy. The end.
Yep.
In the end, it's always about politics. It's about Western culture, and it's about destroying everything. They make it racial because it's emotional to people, and it's simple tribalism. And here I've learned that white racists can't tell one Asian person from another. To them, every Asian is Chinese. And it says, when you say white, do you mean Slavic, Germanic, Caucasian, Latin, Turkic, Celtic, Scandinavian, or can't you tell? Which is why judging people by their race, in part, why. There's many other reasons. It's just retarded and let's stop it, guys. This is very, very low resolution thinking on the left, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's how they get the useful idiots. So stop Asian hate. Then stop discriminating against us in college admissions. I mean, come on. And we have here what a hurting community says it needs from its Asian American vice president.
Huh. She's Asian American now?
Yeah.
I was going to say she's playing that black and Asian card because she's both, I guess.
But she's Indian, so that's actually more like, I know they call Indians Asian, and that technically is Asia, but that's more like Middle Eastern, right? I mean,
yeah, it's like a combination of Middle Eastern and Asian.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's Indian, and I think her dad is like Jamaican or Bahamian or something. So he's like Caribbean. So not even like African American, as they like to say, Black American. It's Caribbean.
Yes.
And those folks are all mixed up too.
So she's Black, Hispanic, and Indian,
right?
But she's the Asian VP or president, really, whatever, or about to be.
Token Asian.
Yeah. So here we have the murder manslaughter rates adjusted, by the way, so it's not racist. We have white supremacy at the front there at 12.37, then white supremacy at 2.54, and then white supremacy at 1.42.
Oh, yeah.
It's super white supremacy.
Yeah.
Because when it's super, no one's super.
And to Jeremy's point, here is mass shootings from 2019. Every person charged with an arrest for shooting 4+ people in a single incident.
You know, you'd think that there'd be a lot of white people in those pictures, but
well,
there's a lot of darker skinned folk.
They're all spiritually white.
Yeah, they're all white supremacists. You know, those pesky black white supremacists.
Well, and to the point that they would be dead, we have Willie Galbolt killed 8 people, including a sheriff's deputy, and was captured alive. We also have Tim Earl Keener stabbed 9 people at a toddler's birthday party, including the 3-year-old birthday girl who died, captured alive.
Oh.
Right. Right. Just absolutely absurd.
Human trash right there.
But, you know, we don't want to be racist. I propose taking up this person's stance here. As a white person, I refuse to eat at black-owned restaurants. Being served by black cooks and waitresses conjures horrifying but familiar imagery of black servitude while under white supremacy. My money will only go towards white-owned restaurants. It's the same logic. It's the same logic all around. And we're rounding them out here, guys. We have here from Colorado has everything the left has asked for: universal background checks, red flag gun seizure laws, high capacity magazine bans, and a passing gun control grade from Gifford's Courage. And it still didn't stop a thug like what's his nuts there?
Amon Alisa.
We'll call him AAA.
AAA.
Allah Akbar.
And here, as to the point of earlier, it says, brothers and sisters are natural enemies. And he's like progressives and libertarians, or communists and libertarians, or ANCAPs and libertarians, or libertarians and other libertarians. They ruined libertarianism. He says, you libertarians sure are contentious people. You've just made an enemy for life.
Libertarians are just fighting with everybody, man.
And I you know, last week we talked to Elliot Hulse, and we had to do some follow-up on Tank's origin story. And so this is actually how this happened. Back in the day, Tank got a phone call, and it's like, Tank, phone call. And he's like, dope. And it's like, it's the president. He's like, you're kidding me. He says, hey, son, Joe Biden here. Well, guess who ain't black anymore?
Holy shit. You made this meme. You made this. I'm in the memes.
Hell yeah.
Mom, I've made it.
Look, Mom, I'm famous.
Tank 1000%, unironically, looks very much like the actor that plays Tank in The Matrix, who's a black and Chinese man. Now he's just a Chinese man. Speaking of China,
sign me up.
Whether you're a mother or whether you're a father, I wonder if that's actually Chinese or if they're just making shit up.
I'm trying to. I think it's a weird dialect. I'm trying to pick up on it.
Well, guys, I mean, while we're worrying about all of our nonsense, I feel like that's how China's walking off in the world stage. So,
yeah,
I mean, that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah, it's Mandarin.
It's Mandarin? Okay.
And that's it. That's the memes. Play that outro, Tank.
Oh, okay, I'll play it. All right.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. That I'm finally here. We lost a Delaney.
I made her get a drink as she knows her rules. Women, she has to get the drinks. She's lesbian, but she still adheres to the biological
I was about to say, even the lesbos have to follow those rules.
Got to keep them in line.
Patriarchy.
That's right.
Patriarchy forever. Even the lesbos have to follow those rules. Oh, man. Oh, look, I see us over here on Trovo with 2 viewers.
Hey, look at that.
What's the username on Trovo? I couldn't find it.
It's Ends Justify Memes.
It's on the if you go on the YouTube, Jeremy, it's on the live stream.
Okay.
Comment or not comments, description. I put everything in there, including your links. So guys, I actually completely forgot about your show last night. I usually catch it on Tuesday nights, but I was watching TV. I was watching fiction for once with my wife. Been trying to do that a little bit more here lately. And I don't know. What'd you guys talk about last night? Anything cool? Anything important?
Oh man.
Anything
So
fun?
we had a bunch of the memes that you had in there we talked about actually. We talked about the main theme of the night was the death cult, the suicide cult that is the modern left today. Everyone who's advocating for things like Krispy Kreme donuts for vaccines. Ironically, while we're in the middle of a pandemic that only kills fat people, we're giving out free donuts. Mm-hmm. The irony is just it's impossible to comprehend there. And there was also a big discussion on Twitter about Elon Musk got in a kind of a Twitter battle with Bernie Sanders and a bunch of the communists who came out of the woodwork because they're upset at Elon Musk because he wants to take us to Mars and actually, have scientific advancement and whatnot.
Do interstellar planetary, traveling and get us off this rock and get us out of this galaxy that we're in as well.
Science. And the leftists, the communists came in. They're like, well, why would you ever spend any money on that when there's poor people here?
Yeah, they straight up told him, like, why are you spending your money on this when you could spend your money helping poor people?
Which is the theme that I've been seeing a lot lately because there was, discussions around, there was a space hotel that was being constructed or they're talking about being constructed a few weeks ago, sparked the same exact discussion. Anything that resembles scientific advancement is shunned and shamed because there's still, if there's one single poor person in America or one inequality anywhere on the planet, we shouldn't spend any money or resources on any scientific advancement is basically the theme.
Yeah. What always feels to me like there's a the left wing for sure always has this attachment to the Rousseauian idea of the noble savage. And so they really do think that it would behoove humanity and the entire planet, Mother Nature, to basically go back to just essential tribal style living. And they can complain about, oh, it's cruel to do this to this person or that person all they want, but 90% of the time they don't care if they're cruel toward you if you have the wrong politics. And I don't know what you're just saying just seems to me like this idea that they believe in this fantasy world. Like, I don't know how many times I've talked to somebody who's in their late 20s or somewhere in their 30s or whatever, so they should know better, who's like, don't you think we should live in a world where like there's no money and we could just do things to an exchange with each other? And like, I bake you a cake and you come work on my sink or whatever, something stupid like that. It's like, yeah, we live in that world now, and money is just a way that we expedite that.
Mm-hmm.
We make it more simple. Right.
If you want to do the bartering system, nothing is stopping you from doing bartering. It's just you have to have some kind of skill or something to offer to the table in order to barter. Like my mom is a bookkeeper, and she uses her skills as a bookkeeper for businesses locally. And she, in exchange for her services, she does books for like a HVAC company, and they will come in and like fix her heating and air conditioning system. And all she has to do is go into their offices and do their payroll once a week. So people are still doing it, but they think that like, oh, we don't need money. It's like, no, like money, like you said, Bill, it just expedites it and makes it a little bit easier for people that don't have those kinds of skills.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just it's a way to make a universal means of exchange instead of everyone trying to have to judge what your skill is and your skill level. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows what the value of money is, even if it changes. If it goes up, it goes down. We all intuitively understand the value of money based on the products we buy with it. And so, there's some kid going around, you live in a snowy area that's shoveling driveways. You know that you can probably give him $5 if he's like 5 or 6 years old. And if he's like 12 or 13, you probably got to give him 10 or 20.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. It's like, because the younger child knows less about the value of money, and $5 is worth a lot more to him than 10 or $20 to a 12 or a 13-year-old. We all understand this intuitively. No one has to explain it to us. We just know these values. It's part of the free market system. And the craziest thing about that is that the leftists just completely ignore that actually starts in their tribalist, like Rousseauian utopia. And the first exchanges that we have in any civilization, any tribal unit that gets built up, is the next tribal unit. So that's immediately, we're in a process of foreign exchange, right? And in that voluntarism and that capitalism, that exchange, that free marketism of either goods or services, automatically puts us in an alliance. And if not, it's just war, right? It's just warfare because of fear of the other. So it's
well, if
crazy.
you want to get really philosophical about it, I mean, they have no concept of a contract, right? So if you want to get, economic and philosophical with it, they don't understand the concept of a contract, whether it be a nationwide contract where we all adhere to the same constitution. You have a contract with the state saying, I will abide by these rules, and if I don't abide by these rules, then I will be apprehended, put in jail, whatever. But it also goes down to the micro level between individuals, or for example, like Elon Musk and the customer. They agree to have a transaction. Both sides are benefiting. They don't comprehend it. It's something in their DNA, where they're the part of the brain that develops that can understand what a contract is. That never really fully developed in there. Or I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Tank, thoughts?
So
the reason I brought it up, just real quick, Tank, is because I want to point out how ironic it is that they say they're progressive, but at the same time, if you apply these policies that they say they want to enact, like don't let scientific advancement occur without poor people being taken care of, we never would have sailed the seas, we never would have explored the oceans, we never would have expanded to continents, we never would have designed telescopes to look at stars. We still would have been in the Stone Age, literally. These people are leeching off of the productive members of society while saying that we should not do any technological advancement, as they tweet from their iPhones, and off the the technological advancement that they are advocating against. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, you're absolutely right. And how you know it's bullshit is because if you look at Marxist communism, what it actually states. So Marx said you have to have capitalism. It's sort of a necessary evil in his eyes, right? So you have your feudalism, and then you have to have it's a stepping stone on the way to progress, which eventually, of course, in their eyes is so it's never been the case where we've taken care of everybody before we went to the next stage of development, and even in their own philosophy. So it's bullshit. And we talk about this a lot, or when we talk about leftism, my belief is that these guys don't actually have any sort of like real value. Real value, real life goals, in that the reason why they want, communism or whatever, this communist revolution, isn't because they want equality. Nobody fucking wants equality. That's stupid. They want a cushy job in a corner office working for the party. That's what it's always been about. It's I've got $75,000 in grad school loans, so I could become a philosophy major, and I'm a barista at a coffee shop. I feel like I'm owed more in this society. So come the revolution, because I'm part of the vanguard, I'm going to get put up and treated nice. It's basically the whole situation.
Mm-hmm. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe they do understand contracts. They understand contracts better than us, but they're hiding the fact that they don't have any value under this guise of moral superiority by saying, well, we need to take care of the poor people. We need equality, because they know they don't offer any value. They know they can't be economically successful. They can't be economically. I'm just saying, maybe that's maybe I have it completely backwards.
And well, that's the thing, is that they don't want to help poor people because they can just go help poor people. They don't want to have a normal life, because like I said before, no one fights a communist revolution to become a plumber. You just go be a plumber. No, none of these guys that are talking about bringing forth this leftist revolution where the workers don't give a fuck about communism. Your plumber, your electrician, they're doing pretty good. Your welders, these guys in skilled trades, your actual proletariat that actually produce things that are supposed to be all about this. Oh, we're going to rise up one day and overthrow the bourgeoisie. Like, they don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah,
if any leftist was to go to like a fucking sheet metal, maybe sheet, but like my brother, he works in concrete. So if they went to my brother's job and was like, did you know that your boss is extorting value in the form of surplus labor from in form of profit? You know, that was some Marxist bullshit. He's gonna be like, my boss is a cool dude. He takes me on 2 fishing trips every year. You're an asshole. Get the fuck out of my face. Like they're not buying what they're selling, and they know that. So they want this vanguard to where they just want to run shit. Is really all it is. It's got nothing to do with equality. They don't want equality. They want to control your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say that the best thing that we can possibly do, the best result for everyone on the planet right now would be for some situation to occur where these people get everything they want. They get this, they get the equality, they get control of every aspect of government, they control their own little country or whatever it is. And then we just let the whole thing burn down in 10 years because that's exactly what will happen. And then we'll realize, because we're in a cycle. We got to speed up the cycle, I say, and we can get to the next good part of the cycle. And because you're not going to reverse it. You can't reverse the cycle. It has to play through. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to play it long and slow and painful, or
just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, rip the Band-Aid off. Give them what they want.
Market, everything always has to correct itself, right? There is a natural law to how the universe works, and it will correct itself. And that's the thing that drives me nuts is the modern hubris of all these technocrats. They're like, oh yeah, we're just going to decide exactly how it's going to work out. And I'm reading on air on All-1, I'm reading Klaus Schwab's nonsense. And I'm like,
yeah,
what are you talking about, dude? Like, you're an economist. He's got like degrees in economics and engineering. It's like, oh, so that's like the hard work. And the rest of this is like, oh, look at how smart I am. And let me BS you into giving me control, because everything he says is not what's going on. And it's always about, well, we can fix this. We can do this. We can do that. We can change this here. We can correct this here. And it's never looking at the, second or first generally, trying to look at the first order consequences, but the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 18th, 20th, whatever down the line. And that is generally how government works, right? Or authoritarianism works. It's like create a problem or have a problem, see a problem, create a solution. Oh, well, that creates more problems. Create another solution that creates more problems, and down the line you go. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
I think what we need to do. Oh, go ahead, Tank.
Well, like I said, these guys are full of shit, right? They it's about, we give them their country. Yeah, I mean, you could give them their country, but they're not going to do that because they're not happy with that. They want to control your life. Like you look at just American politics. Why the fuck does somebody in New York or California give a fuck what's going on in Montana? Right? Why do they give a shit that DeSantis is letting people party? Who gives a fuck? But the distance between New York and Florida, or California and Florida, is like the difference between transversing several countries in some parts of the world. Like it might as well be a different country in a lot of ways.
You get like California is a different country sometimes.
Yeah. But you see all these guys talking about, we're gonna, the communist country, socialist country, so much better. I've seen guys be like outspoken, like Cuba is better than the United States. Motherfucker, you live in New York. You pay what, $1,200 a month for rent. You can get a $90 bus ticket to Miami and a $150 plane ticket to Cuba, and you can be there today.
Yep.
But you're like, it's fucking jerking off about how great Cuba is because you live in the fucking Bronx. Like, eat my ass. You're full of shit.
Right? No, I love when people try to say like, oh, the people of Cuba say that they're happy with their healthcare service that they provide. Well, of course they're happy with the healthcare service that's provided to them. They don't know anything else. They've never seen or experienced anything else. So of course, what are they gonna base their scope of like what is good off of? The pile of crap that they've been handed? Of course, if you get handed a pile of crap your whole life, you're going to be like, yeah, this is the best pile of crap I've ever seen. But the minute they come to America or they go to somewhere else that has something better, they're going to be like, oh my goodness, this is so much better. But these people that think Cuba is like on some other kind of high moral high ground, they've never even been to Cuba. They've never even seen pictures of Cuba or even talked to people from Cuba who escaped Cuba because it's derelict and falling apart and you have to wait in line for 4 days to get a tank of gas. Like, they've never experienced it firsthand.
Well, it's what Bill says. It's a perspective problem. You know, people who haven't traveled, have gotten around, they don't know what the world is like. They think, I call it America is the world. Basically, America is the world theory, where everyone thinks that everywhere in the planet is like America, because, you know, if they knew that slavery was happening in Nigeria right now, if they knew that people were being harvested for their organs in China, if they knew what the conditions were like in Cuba, they wouldn't be talking about the problems in America like they are right now.
Right.
Those would be so far down on the priority list that we wouldn't even hear about them. But here we are in America is the entire world, and our problems are number one.
Right.
Yeah, I got pretty fortunate, I think, as a really young man being in the military, in that, like, I went to Crete. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not third world, but Crete's different. You cannot go to the toilet there and flush your toilet paper. You know, it's like one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's part of the nation of Greece, and it's still a modern country. You know, I've been to Africa, I've been to Dubai, I've been to Iraq and Saudi Arabia, or not Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. In any case, the point is those are all sort of like eye-opening things to a young man, which I understood poverty. You see the old, what was it, Sally Fields, the old commercials were like, give a child $1 while she's obese. Give a child $1 to feed them.
Right? 4 cents a day could go a long way for an African child.
Like, yeah. It's like, are you feeding them or are you feeding yourself? Come on now.
Right?
Yeah, I
make fun of that. So, I mean, but yeah, even as a kid, but way before South Park, I was like, there's something wrong here. In any case,
yeah,
good tag.
I'm weird in that I enjoy traveling to third world countries. It's my favorite. It's my favorite way to travel. Like most people like to go like France and shit. I'm like, take me to Nicaragua. But
I'd rather do that too. Yeah.
I would like to do that too.
Yeah. But I mean, and it's cool. And I actually have a lot. I mean, they are shithole countries. Let's be real. But I think they do have some things to teach us.
That's what makes them good.
Yeah, I think. But like, just to talk about how shitty Cuba is, which again, once Cuba opens up, I'm going there too. So it just is what it is. But
see it for yourself, huh?
Yeah. When I was in Nicaragua, I ran into a Cuban dude who was selling. He had perfect English. Like you would have thought he was from the United States. He had barely any accent, and he was selling pina coladas in Leon, Nicaragua. And I was like, dude, your English is fucking perfect. He's like, yeah. I was like, what are you doing here? And he's like, you know, I left Cuba. He's like, I don't even have any papers. I'm technically in this country illegally. And I'm like, dude, Cuba's so shitty that Nicaragua's a step up.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
I mean, as a child, personally, I went to, like, it opened my eyes. My mom and we went to Tijuana for just like a few hours, and I was like 10 years old, and that opened my eyes up greatly. I was like, holy crap, people actually live like this. And it's just like a hop, jump, and a skip over the border to see it for yourself.
Well, at the same time, we have to understand that people do live quite differently than the luxury that we have. The majority of us have. And I mean, folks, you're just living in a fantasy if you don't understand that like 90% of people that live in America live in just absolute luxury compared to most of the world. If you are making $33,000 a year or so, you're in the top 1% of all income earners in all of the world. That's adjusted across currencies. That stat maybe has changed a little bit since the last time I saw it, but more or less, people in America are quite wealthy and we don't even know it. And we're bickering over the amount of luxury that we have. And Mexico's an industrialized nation. It's a first world nation, but parts of it don't seem that way. But much like parts of America don't seem that way either, man. I mean, you can go to certain parts in the U.S. that are pretty crappy and pretty dilapidated and whatever else. So with that, we cannot have this fallacy either, though, of saying, well, everyone, like lefties do, well, everyone has to come to the U.S. We have to bring him in. And that's part of our problem. We know that we give away too much. We actually literally give too much charity away, and it competes with local businesses. The local businesses can never get off the ground, and actually cannot provide for the community. So there's no sustainability there because everyone gets free stuff. And that's
Strange.
a crazy. It's a crazy concept, but it's a reality.
It's weird that they're not trying to dissuade immigrants from coming here because we're so racist. You know, like why wouldn't they be on the border saying, "Don't come here. This is a racist country. Everyone here wants to kill you," and stuff like that? It kind of conflicts with the what they're actually advocating for, which is a little bit strange. And you're right about the people in America are so rich. I had a homeless guy shit talking me on my YouTube channel because he has a smartphone. So, leaving comments on my videos.
That's the best.
Yeah, and we have the richest poor people on the planet.
Yeah, I was working at a kitchen at in a city that's pretty cool to the homeless, as it were, and we were like, we was cooking something. I was a prep cook at the time, and we were making, I don't know, rice or some shit, and we ended up like making too much, and we was like, hey, let's go outside and give this to these homeless dudes. So we got approved and everything. We took it outside. So we're like, oh, we got some rice. Here you go. And these guys were like, laid out in their little, tents and stuff, that little shit. And he was like, here, and he's like, it's just rice. I was like, yeah, it's like food, bro. Like, eat it. And he's like, do you have any like thing to put on it? I was like, bro, it's fucking. What do you mean to have anything to put on it? Like, most of Vietnam eats it just like this,
right? Most of like the Asian world eats it just plain. They don't put anything on it.
Like I was eating it like 20 minutes ago.
Right?
He is not in need. He is living a life of luxury.
Well, that's the thing. It's because like poverty in the United States is so much different because a lot of it's fucking heroin addicts. They don't want rice; they want heroin. Yeah. Which it's its own thing, and that's kind of what I realized. That is because like if you go somewhere even that's like relatively nice, like Costa Rica, you'll see some rough poverty. Like especially if someone's like disfigured or like they lost a limb or some shit. They're done. Like there is not enough safety net to help these guys. Like China's the worst. You'll see dudes are like really fucked up and they'll get like little karaoke boxes and they'll sing and none of them can sing for shit. And they're like, but it's all they can do to beg for money. And you'll just see they're like, I saw one dude had no legs. He's on a skateboard. And I'm like that's fucked up. Like, United States, we have things for that. Like people that are that fucked up, they usually don't have to sing terrible karaoke on the side of the street.
What's crazy? I actually have known people who were basically, because of my profession, that were basically, pieces of crap that lived a life off of the government dime, and they were perfectly functional as someone getting social security disability or whatever. We're talking about like a 30-ish, 35-year-old-ish man, I can recall. See, over the years, over like 10-year period, every year he'd come in the jail. He wasn't a bad guy per se when he wasn't drunk, but he was a drunk. And you know what he did? He did nothing. He just drank and he lived off his Social Security because at some point he hurt his back and got on it. And he just had been on that disability, that sweet, sweet money forever. And after 10 years of seeing him, in fact, 1 year he came in, I remember telling him, I was talking to him and he's like, oh, hey man, how you been? Da-da-da. And I was like, I'm all right. And he's like, yeah, man, it's been so long since I've been here. And I was like, what are you talking about, Lewis? And he's like, dude, I was just in here. He's like, no, dude, I haven't been in here in like 5 years. I'm like, dude, you're just here last year. He's like, no, I haven't been. No, dude, it's been like 5 years. You can ask this person, that person. They know me because I've been coming in for the last 20 years or whatever. This guy might've been in his 40s. I can't even recall, but he'd been coming in and out of there forever. And, I went and looked it up, and sure enough, he'd been in there every year since I had worked there. And at that point, I think it was like 10 years. He didn't know, though, because he was that much of a drunk. So much of a drunk that after he got out that year, he decided to get drunk one night, passed out, stone cold drunk, and died of exposure. Oh. And there was no reason for that. He was in town. He was in a little wooded area within the town or whatever, but that's how he lived his life. And that was all due to his disability, to that safety net. And to Tank's point, that's a lot of our homeless and poor people. It's something that the Marxists, the leftists, they don't get at in any way, shape, or form, that a lot of this is choice. And look, guys, I'm a blue collar guy. Like, I think between like overtime hours and like my GI Bill coming in while I was going to school at the same time, or maybe working a side job or whatever, I don't think I've ever made more than $60,000 a year in my life. I'm not like, I don't really care about money. I'm just like, as long as I can live, like, I'm a guy like physical labor. What's that?
I said, it just have some kind of income.
Yeah. And all I'm saying is, so I'm not talking about from anyone who's ever lived in any sort of advanced, crazy wealth or anything. It's just what I see is someone on the street level, interacting with thousands of people over the years, inmates that come in and out, and seeing how a lot of people who lived in poverty were, or, you know, and I've interacted with them outside of that as well, like friends, family, extended family, people, you know, that just live a trashy way. Like, have you ever walked into a house before that's absolutely disgusting, that's like piled up full of stuff, and it smells bad, and there's like, maybe they have kids and their toys are in the litter box and stuff like that. And you're like, what in the world is wrong with these people?
Right.
Yeah, I can tell you, I have. Yeah.
It's like, how, like, if you have time to like not work, how do you not have time to like clean up your space and make sure at least your house is clean? Like, come on now.
They'd rather be sitting around getting high, drinking, playing games, doing whatever, doing everything else, but being responsible for life. And this is the conundrum, because I do believe in charity, but I believe it should be personal and only in people who are basically in need and graciously accept it.
Yeah.
But when we start talking about social safety nets, it becomes a problem, because then you just enable this behavior where these people would otherwise either go to their own demise, which is unfortunate, or they would pull themselves up by the bootstrap or seek help. Mm-hmm. But we remove those hard consequences to life, just like I was saying a little bit earlier, that the natural effect of things, the natural cause of things, the natural playthrough, we delay it, we try to manipulate it, and we think we're our own gods of sorts of nature. You know, we can just change the way we are and things will play out just fine, right?
Yeah.
Well, I talked about this with Delaney. I think yesterday we were just talking about it off stream. I was like, we need to come up with a name for these people because there is a percentage of people, and everyone needs to acknowledge this. We need to come to a societal realization that this is a reality, that there is a certain percentage of the population that is not ever going to be economically viable. They're not going to contribute to society. They're always only going to be a drain on society. Mm-hmm. And that's where the self-perpetuating eternal loop comes into play. When we were talking, to go back to the people who were saying Elon Musk shouldn't spend any money until all the poor people are taken care of. That's a problem that will never be solved. You will never have all poverty being solved. You will never have clean water in every single city, like, you know, Flint or whatever it is. And that's exactly why we need to revert to smaller versions of society. The scale is too big for us to control that. If we had a small scale community, if you had a village or town, a city of, say, 500 people, you could kick those people out. You give them 3 chances, and then you can kick them out. Whereas in America at large, as long as they're in the border and they have a social security number, they can get benefits from the state, the federal government. They can get benefits from the state government. EBT cards, money, food, whatever they need to survive without providing anything back into the system. And it's not a problem that can ever be solved at that scale. Actually, the bigger we get, which we don't show any signs of getting smaller anytime soon. So the bigger we get, we're going to have more of those people, not just as a straight up count, but as a greater percentage of our society. I think the percentage of that is going to increase proportionally, because as these welfare programs increase, as we grow the size of the government, and I'll grow that safety net, the safety net's gotten too big. And the term that I use to try to correct that is harshness. Mm-hmm. We need more harshness, closer to reality, closer to nature, closer to natural selection forces, to restore the balance. Because we're going to get to a point to where we're too deep in the weeds where we can't recover.
And with like the obesity in this country growing, people are literally like just draining resources and draining money and just draining all kinds of stuff out of people, and just getting fatter off of it.
Well, that's what we talked about. This pandemic literally wouldn't even be a pandemic, probably, if we didn't have all these fat people. If we didn't have such a soft, pathetic society that would lift up these fat people and let them live and be fat, successfully live and be fat against all laws of nature, against their body, against biology, everything. We prop them up and allow them to survive. Now we are suffering a pandemic because of them, because these are the people that are dying. These are the people that are getting it and spreading it. These are the people getting hospitalized. And as you know, hospitalizations are the single variable that determine lockdowns, at least in California. That's how it's always been. So all these fatties are plugging up the hospitals and locking us down, destroying the economy as a result. That's just a small example of what's to come in the future. As we continue to get softer and softer, we're going to have to accommodate for them more and more to get to the point to where it's just going to tip over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's an engineered problem as well. The obesity epidemic, diabetes, heart disease, all of that, whether on purpose or because of incompetency, it's 1000% engineered. It goes back to the McGovern Commission in the 70s, where the U.S. there were many deep roots with this. Don't get me wrong, but the U.S. government was never involved with giving dietary advice until then, and all we've done is given a backwards pyramid system where you should be eating more meat and fat at the bottom, and instead they're like, oh, eat a ton of meat eat a ton of grains and sugar. Now, cereal very little bit, but
with donuts and waffles, and syrup and orange juice. Oh yeah, drink a lot of juice. Juice is great. It's got vitamin C.
Yeah, and
remember, all you need to know. Remember,
hedonism too, though. Part of it is just the hedonism of our society, and part of it's what luxury brings, which is why Tank's a fan of Uncle Ted, because that part Kaczynski got right. Actually, is that the more basically pampered we are, the more vile we become, and I don't see any indication of anything different historically. We can look thousands of years back into whatever was considered a luxury then, and watching people get soft and corrupt and morally corrupt.
That's why whatever system we implement for the next iteration, it needs to have harshness built in. It needs to have some kind of a control on the level of softness that you can put in there. And also, I think I'm proposing right now Tank's Law. I'd like to propose this for entering into Tank's Law is the rule that says that every conversation will eventually get to a Ted Kaczynski mention.
Yes, it will. I fully believe in that. Just talk about what Bill's talking about here. When they first introduced the food pyramid, they were like, oh, we eat all this bullshit. And then later people were getting fat. So it's like, oh, eat the Mediterranean diet. Okay, here's a Mediterranean diet food pyramid. It ranks,
not in any way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah. It ranks meat as bad as sweets.
There's a steak at the top. Jesus, that's
it's next. According to this, steak is as bad as ice cream.
Wow.
Okay, so let me drop some knowledge about how Mediterranean people eat. They eat a lot of meat, a lot of fatty meat, a lot of lamb. They eat a lot of cured meat, a lot of pork. They
a lot of
eat
fresh
their
vegetables, olive oil, vinegar, stuff like that.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, a big part of their diet is meat and cheese, by the way. And this is all the way from Turkish folk to Israelis to Greek to Italians to Spaniards to North Africans. This is what they eat. Egyptians, all that stuff, right? It is not. That's a Mediterranean diet. It's not like pasta and all this other BS that they're trying to convince you that Mediterranean people eat. It's not true.
Well, here's the thing. So pretty much every culture on the planet for most of the world, most of history, has eaten meat every fucking chance it got.
Mm-hmm.
The only exceptions were for like for instance, the Greek Orthodox Church, Mediterraneans, right? During the fast seasons, we don't eat meat, right? We're not supposed to. You're not supposed to eat meat when you're fasting. And we do that because we recognize it as a deprivation. Like you say, I'm taking something that I know is good for me and I'm removing it from my diet in a way to kind of, refuse myself from something that I reckon. So it's like we've always known this. And then all of a sudden some idiots come along and say, well, actually, you probably should just eat a bunch of sugar and not eat
Krispy Kreme, dude, every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Answer keys. George McGovern, when he presided over that commission, or at least a while before that, was a vegan or vegetarian because it was popular at the time. Of course, we know about Kellogg. We know about the sugar industry essentially bribing folks to make sure that sugar was not seen poorly. There's a lot of stuff there. Guys, anything and everything you can imagine in the world is always corruptible. Why? Because it's run by people. Unless it's not run by people, it is not corruptible. And you got to watch what authorities tell you. Like the reality is that 9 times out of 10, historically, the authority's been wrong. 9 times out of 10, the authority has been wrong.
Yeah.
But we should expand authority, I think. That's
Yeah.
Well, this is like when I talk about that we have an expert worship, and I think we were talking to Yiz. We're like, well, what exactly is an expert? And I think I've narrowed it down.
Good question.
And an expert to me is someone in society who has the power to create influence.
You need to bring up Tank. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You need to bring up Commander Osis's comment immediately.
Yeah, you do need to address that.
Tank looks like he could use more meat intake, but not rectal tube steak for his OnlyFans. What I do on my OnlyFans is 1, not free to look at, so you better be paying up. 2, none of your business unless you're paying up.
Unless you're paying.
All right, dude. I'm sorry. I derailed the conversation there, but
where was that? Oh yeah. So an expert is to me, the way I look at it, is someone who has the ability to influence society, but is not on the hook if they fuck it up. So like a mechanic, right? A mechanic's not an expert. If you take your car to a mechanic, more or less, he's gonna say this is what's wrong with it, and if he fucks it up, it's his ass, usually. Whereas Dr. Fauci can spit off whatever bullshit he wants to say, and if he fucks it up, well, whatever. We just move on with our lives.
Authority without accountability.
Yeah,
that's what
I think. That's what I think it is.
So
interesting.
This is that's actually one of the things I was about to say. So we've identified between our two shows, right? Two very important things here. There's a scalability problem and there's an accountability problem, right? We all know about that accountability problem. As soon as you're labeled an expert, you really have no accountability because you become a god, right? Mm-hmm. People make you a modern god of some sort. Look at Neil deGrasse Tyson. And
oh God, that guy.
That guy is not impressive to me in any way, shape, or form.
Me neither.
You want to talk about a bad conversationalist, a bad podcaster? He's the king. He's the absolute worst. If you ever seen him on Joe Rogan, oh my God, he's awful.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying I'm the best at this, but what he is, I don't get. I don't get other than a token racial check in the box, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a black physicist. Okay, cool, dude.
Yeah, good job. Like, congratulations. What else?
Oh, what the hell? I got Pluto not to be a planet anymore.
I'll never forgive them for that.
There's a joke about that in the Coming to America, the second one with
Eddie
really? Murphy or whatever. All right, yeah, they make a joke about that. They're like, "Oh, you got your white scientist, and then you got your token black deGrasse Tyson."
Mm-hmm.
So they joke about him in that one.
Sweet. Well, I'm glad to see Eddie Murphy is based.
And he makes tranny jokes in there too.
Oh,
so,
thank God.
Yeah, no,
I might just watch it now.
There are some good jokes in there, yeah.
I'm actually a big fan of the original Coming to America.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, well, I'm not a huge fan of comedies. Like, comedies have to have something special to them, and I really like Coming to America. I mean, Groundhog's Day is one of my favorite films. Again, it has something special to it. The original Hangover for a comedy film, that had something special to it. The sequels,
yeah, all the sequels for Hangover were garbage.
Whatever, but yeah, most of the time I'm like, comedy's a comedy. It's like, it's a fun time. I'm not going to rewatch it a million times. Why would I do that? Now, a movie like The Prestige, a Christopher Nolan movie, one of my favorite movies. Just there's something watchable about that to me. I don't know, but it gets into psychology, the nature of human beings, and just some mystical stuff. So whatever else. Anyways,
my favorite movie is Lion King 1.5.
I bet it is.
The Timon and Pumbaa story, bro. It's dope.
Got to get their perspective because their perspective is the most important one.
Oh my God. Yeah, I am. I'm kind of a nerd. Well, not so much anymore because they're pretty cooked. But yeah, I grew up on Disney movies. I was one of those kids that was super poor, and like once a year we did Disney Channel for free, and then like everyone would come over to like one guy's house and we'd all watch all the Disney shows. But this was back when like Disney was cool, like Disney. This back when it was like Mickey Mouse and shit, not like whatever the fuck you're doing now. But I did see Raya and the Last Dragon over the weekend. I went to the movies over the weekend, guys. I saw Raya and the Last Dragon. It's pretty good. I give it an 8.
Give it an 8. I was thinking about watching that, but I was like, I don't know. With all this wokeness going on, they're doing all kinds of stupid shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to watch this.
I'm a huge movie guy, and it's been a rough few years.
Yeah, it was a little bit like girl powery, but it didn't really offend me too much. I didn't really have a problem with any of it.
Even in Godzilla, they're putting the wokeness in there because they're putting the gorilla in.
Oh, Godzilla versus Kong.
Did you see where they're taking Johnny Cage out of the Mortal Kombat movie?
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see that one. What? No, I didn't. I noticed he wasn't in the trailer, but you're saying they took him out deliberately. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they didn't want a white. I'll see if I can find the article. Yeah, they didn't want a white guy and to be the hero.
You know what? Actually, I'm okay with that because Johnny Cage is kind of boring anyway.
He does kind of suck.
like he's based off Van Damme. It's kind of the idea of the Mortal Kombat series in the first place.
Most boring characters in Mortal Kombat anyway. That's fine.
Yeah, but
let me guess.
that
Jax
does
is going to be the lead.
sweet.
Jax, the black guy's going to be the lead. Or the female.
So I was just talking in the chat there. What were you saying, Jeremy? Was good to check out? Were you saying something was good to check out there before he
I'm not sure. Oh, the Coming to America movie?
No, I guess you guys were talking about whatever. I was looking at the chat and then typing.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're talking about there.
Trying to tell Holly not to hit on Tank there.
I don't blame her.
Tank can't get. Tank has to know his place. He's the co-host and producer. Can't let him take over the show, folks.
Yeah, I went to the movies this weekend too, Tank, and I saw Monster Hunter with Mila Jovovich and Ron Perlman. I thought it was going to be freaking terrible, like total B movie. I was actually surprised that it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was still really bad, but it was actually like had its good moments. But I was just excited to go to the freaking movies.
See, if you set your expectations rock bottom, then you're always going to be coming out on top.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so here's if you're lucky enough to have this. So in the old town I used to live in, there was a theater that was a brewery. So that you get like beer and food stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
And it was a $3 movie. So it'd be like movies that have been out a while. So if it'd be like a shitty movie that you figured was going to be shitty, it was okay because it was $3 and you're just gonna get drunk as shit anyway.
Yep. So
like we went and saw like that shitty A-Team remake, and I got absolutely. I mean, it was like 1:00 in the afternoon. And I got absolutely destroyed. Everyone was like yelling at the screen and throwing shit. It was that's the kind of movie you want to see.
Right.
That's a good concept. What if you make a theater? Here's a business idea. What if you make a theater where you purposely go to see all the dog shit that they remake at the feminists? I heard they're remaking Groundhog Day too. God, what a awful movie. I'm sure it's all going to be females and stuff. But you go to the theater.
Groundhog Day?
I think so. Yeah, don't quote me on that, but that's what I heard. Exactly. It's terrible. But you go to this theater to watch the remakes like Ghostbusters and stuff, and then you just like trash the screen, you shit talk it the whole time, and you throw shit at the screen, stuff like that. That'd be cool.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, if you could figure out a way to have like a screen that was that could get tore up and you just replace it really easy.
Just do like an outdoor. You make it solid screen, just like a wood painted white or something like that, so you can throw shit at it and then you just hose it down afterwards.
Oh, that'd be dope. And just play like the most god awful movies you could find.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that is good. We should do that.
Just get all the worst, like the bottom of the barrel, just worst movies of all time, and just let people like. Just
Amazon
like on
Prime has so many terrible movies.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. I was actually watching Mystery Science Theater the other week because I started watching terrible movies, and that came up as well. So, which I haven't done in like 20 years. I was like, oh yeah, I remember high school. We used to watch Mystery Science Theater.
Yep.
Speaking of terrible movies,
they remade that one too, and it sucks.
Oh,
yeah, right.
It was awful.
Yeah.
The new Justice League, Zack Snyder. Did you see all the hubbub about that?
I have heard the hubbub. I have seen the hubbub. I had seen where he kind of disavowed geeks and gamers like a tool, and Nerdrotic covered it, and whomever else. Yes, guys. If you don't know who those are, I'm actually quite savvy on the YouTube big boys, depending on what subject it is. So I do pay attention to entertainment media a good bit. So
we're Renaissance men here. Okay, we're well rounded. We can talk about anything.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, for folks who may not know who those folks are, they are rather large YouTube, movie, video game, basically entertainment content creator types. So, right.
The conversation that I love the most about the Zack Snyder, to bring it back to our cultural conversation here, is the fact that once the Zack Snyder cut came out, all the leftists were crying. They went through the whole movie and they nitpicked every single thing that they took out of the original. Like, they took out 36 scenes with minorities in them, and there was black scenes that they took out, and they didn't have this interracial scene. They didn't have these women in there. Joss Whedon's a racist because he took all this out. They didn't have the backstory for Cyborg, and it was they of course they turned it into a social justice argument, which that's what happens when you get the mind virus. You take everything you see and you twist it into your social justice problems. I thought that was hilarious.
I don't remember everything he said, but the Critical Drinker, I think, had a pretty good take. I have not watched the movie, but I don't remember if I've ever even seen the Justice League.
Think it's worth it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, the DC franchise in general, like, I really liked the first Wonder Woman movie. Thought it was pretty good. I know there's flaws in the movie, but it's still a pretty good movie. That's about it. I remember everyone was. I'm a pretty staunch movie critic, though, but I remember everyone was all about the Suicide Squad, and I was like, this looks stupid, and it came out and I watched it, and it was ridiculously retarded. It was badly edited. It had no good story flow. It had no good character development. It was terrible. And by the way, guys, I don't like Endgame either. That movie's bad. So
Endgame was bad too.
Yeah.
I watched at the end of it. I was like, I literally wasted 3 hours of my life for this piece of trash.
I get a lot of
Infinity Wars was not that great either, but it was Endgame was just like 1,000 times more terrible than that movie. I
get a lot of flack for my opinion on comic book movies, and I gotta say that the last good comic book movie that I seen, the last good one I seen was Blade with Wesley Snipes.
Oh yeah,
the original.
Blade,
yeah.
You don't like any of the new ones?
Not a single good comic movie between then and now. Fight me.
I think the Blade movies were decent, but not a huge fan of them. But
Dark Knight Returns, maybe.
Maybe if he returns.
No, Dark Knight Returns, the second Batman with the Joker. That one was okay.
That one was okay, yeah. When you first watch it, it kind of like takes twists and turns and like definitely gets you on your seat. And you're just like, wait, what's going to happen next? But it wasn't. I don't know. I'm a big. I like the original Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson as the Joker. I thought that one was. I thought Jack Nicholson was a far superior Joker, but
I too am a fan of that one, Delaney. But that's actually kind of sort of the callback to. They went back to that darker, edgier time with the Dark Knight series. I'm a fan of Christopher Nolan's. Inside secret, guys, just between you, me, and the internet. When I was a kid, I wanted to get into film and direct film and stuff. So very much into films. I'm one of those weird guys that watches like director's cuts and director commentary and stuff like that. Not so much anymore because I don't really have time for it. And I don't really watch too much entertainment because most of it is garbage today. But yes, I was a guy after drawing and painting and all that stuff growing up, was in theater and all that. So in any case, really like that stuff, like creating, like the storytelling aspect. But yeah, the Dark Knight series was good. Really liked it. But the third movie, not the best. The stuff with the Bane and all that, just so many plot holes. Just stuff drives me nuts. I see too easily. And there's a lot of movies that people watch and they're just like, oh, it's entertaining. It entertains me. My brain's turned off the whole time. And that's where, before the show started, you were talking about, I should stop watching The Expanse after the third season. And I've been watching after the first season. I've been watching it get just a little bit more stupid, like going down. The first season I thought was really good. Second season was good in the very beginning, but then there was some weird character arcs and stuff.
So
and I'm in the middle of the third right now, and I'm like,
So the reason I say that, and it's not really a spoiler alert, you probably already know this, but Miller, who is the only good character in the entire series, does not appear in season 4 or 5 as a main character anymore. So that's what kind of killed it for me. Plus, they go a little more. The budget, you can kind of tell, gets a little worse with their shooting, it seems like. But anyway, I wanted to go back to what you were saying about being a movie guy, because you'll appreciate this. Martin Scorsese came out, I think, a few weeks back, and he said that there's a problem in entertainment today, and it's the problem of people just wanting to be distracted. There's a big difference between content and cinema. There is no more cinema anymore. We don't have cinema. What people want is content, which is why platforms like Amazon and Netflix and Hulu can pump out dog shit on a conveyor belt constantly, and nobody really... I watch people who consume this stuff a lot, and they're like, oh yeah, I just watched this whole series on Amazon. I just watched this whole new series on whatever. Like that, dude. That's terrible quality stuff, and you enjoy that?
Yeah.
I'm just confused
It's
how
a Michael Bay movie, right? And Michael Bay's actually a rather competent film director, but what was he best known for? The big explosive action movie that gets everyone into the theater, and just not my cup of tea, man. Like I'm not the guy I'm watching the entire Fast and the Furious series thinking, oh, that's my favorite movie in the world or favorite series in the world or anything like that.
You know what? It's gotten so bad. It's gotten so bad that you can even say that Michael Bay is better than the stuff that's coming out now, because at least Michael Bay used live action.
Well,
now
look,
is just
man,
green screen shit.
Right, and the political propaganda has always been there. The political propaganda has always been in Hollywood, but it is super bad now. And I think that's more of the issue. And the recycling. There is no new creation. No one's coming up with new stories. No one's coming up with any new sort of ideas. Now, I'm slowly in the process because I'm, I don't know, doing 100 million other things, and I could be more industrious than I am. And in any case, I'm slowly in the process of writing like some sort of dystopian fiction novel that maybe, if it was any good, would get picked up one day and become a movie. But I would also not really relish that, because you got to worry about what Hollywood does to good stories and how
get mutilated to fit the narrative.
Right, and they have to propagandize it. And for me, I mean, if there's any sort of narrative, more or less, and I'm trying to put it in a story, I am creating propaganda. Propaganda doesn't necessarily mean I'm lying. It's just about selling this narrative. But I would be reticent to believe that they wouldn't twist my words into meaning the exact opposite of what I thought them to be. I mean, look at what leftists do today to, folks like Orwell writing 1984. We can make an argument with Huxley, because Huxley seemed to sort of agree with much of what he wrote about, though he saw some problems with it in A Brave New World. But like Orwell seemed to be pretty against the ultra draconian laws of the centralized state, right? Even though he was a lefty. So
Dude,
I don't know.
Queen Elizabeth on your movie, man. They'll make your lead male actor into a black female.
right.
Like, oh, well, you have a male role in this role, but we really think a black female would fit better. So
dude, yeah. Like that comic book series I was telling you about yesterday.
Oh, yeah, tell them about that.
So this girl that I've been talking to, she lives in Cincinnati. Her and I talk about every day, and she sent me a link to a YouTube video doing like a review of this comic book series that's from Marvel. It's called Children of Atom. Atom spelled AOATOM. And it's basically just like the X-Men, but they just gender bend the already existing characters. So they have Cyclops, but it's not like male Cyclops. It's a woman, and they renamed her it's like Cyclass. So it's like a female version of Cyclops.
Wasn't she black too?
No, so they have a character that's like Gambit. So
this one's good.
This character's like Gambit. They not only gender bended her, but they made her black as well. So the character of Gambit went from being, a white Cajun male with the kinetic charge ability to this like fat black chick, and her name is Gimmick. So they don't even come up with
It's all over.
They don't even come up with new abilities for these mutants. that was the great thing about the X-Men series as comic books, is because they didn't have to come up with like these stupid stories on how these superheroes get their abilities. They're just born with abilities and they just have to come up with something cool. They're just gender bending and changing races on everything.
It was like 90% story and then 10% propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 90% propaganda, 10% story.
And like, yeah, it was like a review. It's like this guy was like, I read it just so that way you guys don't have to waste $4.99 on this comic book. And let me just tell you, it's just nonsense. It was bad. It was so bad.
That and I really like stylized retellings of anything, like stylized bluegrass versions of rap songs. I like shit like that. So if someone was like, oh, we're going to do I don't know, the Three Musketeers, but they're all going to be. It's gonna be like set in feudal Japan. They're all geishas. Like that would be kind of cool. I could get down on something like that. But they're just like, oh, let's make Three Musketeers, but they're all black women. Oh,
yeah, they're all black women.
Yeah.
in freaking Compton or something like that. Like no, like that's just stupid. It's unoriginal. There's no like original thought process anymore in Hollywood or in writing and art anymore. It's just all
it's almost like
and
these
gender bending.
Yeah, it's almost like these people actually aren't creative.
Mm-mm.
And they're just rehashing a narrative.
There is no creativity anymore.
Right. That has no real logical basis or anything either. Because what they're doing is they're taking what's old, they're trying to recreate it as new, but they can't quite recreate it as new because what are you doing? I'm just changing the gender. I'm making them fat. Same character.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to write is literally, a fiction book based on the consequences of our choices and our actions and inactions. And it's in a dystopian timeline because I just see that there are things I want to talk about politically that are coming. And I'm not saying it's anything new or unnew. I mean, there's always the hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
But the crazy thing is something like Star Wars hit that with the original trilogy, right? And people saw that and they were just, oh, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana Jones has its highs and lows, but what are they doing now? Instead of creating new Indiana Jones, they're just revamping it. And you could say even in the 90s and early 2000s, they created the new Indiana Jones. Her name was Laura Croft. The whole Tomb Raider thing.
Hell yeah.
But no one sat there and thought, oh, that's a reboot of Indiana Jones. And, oh, we're going to use the same name, Indiana Jones. And we're going to say, this is his daughter, Laura Jones or whatever. And we're going to create this whole Tomb Raider narrative. No, it was something a little bit different. Because
Avatar was just a remake of Fern Gully, which was
yes,
Fern Gully.
Everything. Okay, here's the thing.
I tried to talk about that. People were like, "What's Fern Gully?"
Here's the thing, though.
With Fern Gully, dude, I don't know about it.
You have to understand, like, what's the saying? It's something like, good art is original, great art is stolen, or something like that. Like artists steal all the time. That's what artists do. It's part of art. You pick and choose. You pull from things. It's about fitting it together and kind of analyzing and realizing the way the world is at the moment. And you're kind of making an expression of the world based on your view. Now, some artists obviously take that way further than others, and art is art. It's probably celebrated way more than it should be. But the point here is that there is really nothing new under the sun.
Mm-mm.
People are retelling the same stories, and we're trying to tell the story of our consciousness as a species, right? This is kind of like Jungian psychology oriented, right? Little JPB stuff right now, or JBP, sorry. Yeah.
So to piggyback off of what you're saying here, ironically, the way that we can fix, if you want to do the fight back in an actual effective manner, which isn't storming the Capitol, it's not, going to the campaign elections and trying to observe or any of that kind of shit. It's through art. So there's a void right now of really good art. And if you can create really good art and you can plant, like you're talking about, that propaganda, like with your book, you can plant those ideas and the principles deep down in there. Like just if you just inject the idea, the principle of meritocracy, for example, over the idea of fairness and equality, which is, if you watch like any movie these days, there's undertones of all these feminized, not feminist, but feminine behaviors, feminine traits like equality, safety, fairness, shit like that. But if you can create something that's a really good piece of art that has those proper principles underneath, that's how you get people to subconsciously adopt that stuff over time. And you will actually change people's minds on a large scale over time.
All right, here's what we do. we make a Tomb Raider movie, but instead of being Laura Croft, it's Luke Croft, and it's a straight white male. It's gonna be like Mike Cernovich or somebody to play.
Is he super straight, Hank? Is he super?
He's super straight.
He's super straight.
So basically, we're just making Indiana Jones and calling it Tomb Raider.
Only if I get to dub over Mike Cernovich, because my voice is way sexier than his.
Oh
yeah.
He's got a heavy lisp.
Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. What was I going to say about movies? Oh, well, one of the things is everyone on YouTube right now, basically, or creating streaming content, video content, we're all artists in one way or another, right? We have to create things. We have to put it together. We're shaping it. And what you see is a lot of copycat stuff. And I don't try and do it, but it happens. In fact, I put out stuff and then I see really big channels putting it out later after I've put it out or have had things organized. It's interesting. Elliot Holst said something last week to us. He's like, where'd you get the concept from to do this? Well, we started the show without doing any sort of meme cast news thing, but I just thought of the idea. I've always been a fan of Norm Macdonald's. I've always liked the Saturday Night Live weekend update, and that's all it is. Later on, before Jon Stewart came along, what was his name? Craig Kilborn came up with the Daily Show, and that's basically what the Daily Show was. It's an old format. I've invented nothing over again. It's just something I like, and it was like, hey, let's do it. And you know what? When we can get guests, it's like, hey, that's awesome. We can have guests on and enjoy the process with them, talk through it and whatever else, cover some news, talk about the important issues that we talk about. Not that tonight's been that much of important issues, but I don't know.
Of that. We've had enough, of the important issue cocked lately. We all know what's going on. People are getting shot. There's people at the border. Who gives a fuck? Honestly, we need to focus more of our energy.
Right.
We need to divert our energy away from
the real
stuff.
question. Is anyone surprised what's happening?
We're talking about shootings again. We're talking about the border again. Who cares? I am supremely uninterested in that, which is why I didn't talk about any shooting or any border stuff on my stream last night. And I haven't talked about it at all because I think we need to try to collectively, what you're trying to do is the correct path. We need to try to divert the energy away from just the instant gratification stories of, oh, guns bad, border good, all that kind of shit, and move it into more big picture, how to be creative, how to influence society, how to create new things, and be producers rather than consumers. Because when you're just reacting to stories that are in the news, are you really much of a producer?
No.
You're kind of giving commentary. You're maybe putting a little spin on it. You're producing, a commentary or analysis, but you need to try to create something entirely new. And that's what we try to do. I try to create new philosophies like techno-barbarism. I try to come up with new concepts that I try to share with the audience that maybe could just plant some seeds in their head so they can start to see the world in a new way. And that's what we need to do.
By the way, I don't have that linked in the description. Anyone, if you're out there, Techno-Barbarism is Jeremy's other channel where he is building his bug out van or Winnebago. What do you build, man?
It's the Winnebago.
Winnebago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spray paint that on the side, Jeremy. The Winnebago.
Like Bang Bus? No, it's not like that. It's
I think that's one of the things I really picked up with you that I liked. I started watching immediately was that you were trying to create your own language, and the left does it all the time. They want to redefine everything. They want to control everything. They are the ones who push all the narratives. And these are some conversations that Tank and I had early on the show. It's that for them, they've really always had control, at least since the fall of monarchy, right? At least since the French Revolution. And the left has really always owned the institutions and have always pushed the narrative and have always moved the Overton window and let us forward in the world. But that forward leap isn't necessarily a good leap. Maybe we should be a little bit more cautious about it. Maybe we should think a little bit more like Edmund Burke back in the day and just say let's wait a minute. So let's weigh these changes. And there's some changes that are going to be organic, which I'm all about. Technological changes are essentially organic. Yeah, someone creates it, but when it gets released to the public, it's an organic thing. People pick it up or they don't. And that's one of the fallacies of people who are like Luddites. They don't want to embrace technology. I'm not saying that I want to be transhuman either, Tank. So just saying. But
he wants a synthetic butthole.
Right.
But well, if you wear one out, you're going to need a synthetic butthole.
That's
right. But they don't realize, like, there was a thing. There was an argument between Betamax and VHS, and actually Betas was better than VHS, but VHS had better marketing. And there was, of course, later on the DivX system and Blockbuster and all that stuff, and DVDs were coming out. There were various different systems that just didn't work in the market. The market picked up what worked.
Remember HD DVDs? Do you remember
those?
Yes.
Yes, I remember those.
They lost the battle of the DVDs to Blu-rays real quick.
Oh yeah, once Blu-rays came out and all these movie and game manufacturers realized that they could put more data onto a single disc, they were like, "Oh, this is way better."
And you're right. That's what needs to happen on a larger societal levels. We need to realize that we have bad ideas. We've tried it out. Like we've tried feminism. We've tried communism. We've tried socialism. And we need to realize that those aren't going to work for us. So let's put them over here in the pile with HD DVDs and with zip disks and all that old technology that we don't use anymore. And let's move on and go to Mars.
But the issue is, Jeremy, is that the market isn't what's providing. It is artificial. It is these authoritarian, centralized solutions. Yeah. So, where isn't in a technological world, things come out and people decide if they accept it or not. The market decides. When it comes to governance, it's not the way it works. And it's a very unfortunate thing.
If only they consumed government policy the way they consume actual products, we'd basically all be living on Saturn right now.
Well, I think two ways, like very simple ways that, as I said earlier, that we can address this is the scaling issue. And the second one is the accountability issue. And I think they go hand in hand. They're kind of tied together. And the more the scale grows, the less accountability there is. And the smaller the scale, the more accountability there is. But I don't know. I think, Tank, you got anything on that, man?
Nah.
Just direct. We love you, Tank, for that.
You know what? Here's a positive light that maybe I can just put a little capstone on this whole conversation with. I think we're seeing now with the reaction to coronavirus, for example, we are seeing a return to the states being vastly different from each other and almost kind of like, again, their own little countries. You've got places like Texas that have no mask mandates, no COVID mandates at all, or you've got California completely locked down and completely different environment. Florida's been open the whole time. You're starting to see differences in the states now where people may have not been conscious of that before because there has been no reason for them to acknowledge the differences. There's slight differences like, in this state, you can carry a gun without a license or whatever. No one knows that. No one cares because they've never been forced to acknowledge it. But now people will be forced to acknowledge the difference in states and the way that different government styles can affect your life. And they can affect your life in a very drastic manner. Florida, you could be out on the beach partying with hot babes all day. Texas, you can be, I was at the bars partying last Halloween at open bars, in Texas. California, I just went out for the first time to a bar last week.
Yeah.
And so I think the good thing that we can say is that people will start to realize that states and different styles of government are possible and will have a major effect on your life. And maybe that'll make them a little more conscious of, reducing the size of the government, or reducing the power from the federal government, bringing it back down to the state government. Because in reality, the state government, the state level government should be all you ever really care about. You shouldn't care about what's going on at the federal level.
Yeah.
Federal level is just military.
The states should be smaller. The states need broken up as well, many of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
California should be like 4 states.
Right. We have the population size of like 4 different states.
Yeah.
This would be the way to go if we want to avoid the boog. Unfortunately, they want to try and go after guns and whatever else they're going to try and do. And the reality is, guys, not to blackpill anyone, but the NGOs of the world, the globalist NGOs, are the ones who dictate all the policies. Yeah. which is why we need to break off into our own societies and have conversations like this and make friends like all of you in the chat right now. By the way, Holly, I know I commented on there. I didn't realize you watched the show. Maybe you were in the chat before and I forgot, but I appreciate you being here and everyone else who's come over.
Holly's one of our biggest fans.
Well, I know because I'm in your chat usually on Tuesday nights.
Well, we told the chat last night that we were going to be on your show tonight. So,
okay.
So people have made the crossover and decided to join us, and
trying to bring the crowd over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. And some people probably don't know my face or voice, even though I was on with the stereo a while back. But that was a little wonky. I listened to you guys Saturday for a bit, and Delaney, you sounded way better than I did over the stereo, so that's all I know.
Yeah, we can work out your audio issues in the future. But by the way, if you ever want to come on and do a stereo on any of our Tuesday or Saturday streams, more than welcome to have you on. So because we're gonna move everything to stereo for Saturdays, but we don't have anybody to do stereo for Tuesdays. So if you ever want to do a stereo on Tuesdays,
yeah, man, I just have to have it scheduled, and just realized my wife has 12 weeks before she delivers, so there'll be a time here in the near future where my content will drop a little bit. Probably not this show. We might have to drop it for a week or so. But as far as my own content, so, as far as coming over on your all show, would love your all show. Don't catch Saturday that often because I'm usually watching UFC fights because, I'm a dude. And that's the only sport I watch other than politics. So, in any case, guys, do you have anything else? Because I'm going to close out here. We're a little bit after 9 o'clock.
I want to know, Tank, what are you drinking over there?
I'm glad you asked.
Because you've been sipping on that all night, and I'm like, what is it? I can't.
Been trying to show the bottle off subtly.
I know, like in the background, it's just been sitting there.
Is that Lagavulin?
No. I wish. This is Lafroig 10-year.
Also good.
No, yeah, this one. The commercials are hilarious for Lafroig because a lot of people think this is disgusting. And in the commercials, they got a lot of people in there, so they're drinking. They're like, oh, this tastes like cow shit, But I love it. I'm a huge fan. So if you're inclined to scotches, maybe give it a try. You probably won't like it, but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not much of a hard alcohol drinker, but I've been just trying to read the label in the background, but it's been too far away for me to see.
It's a good step up from that chick seltzer you had.
Yeah, that chick seltzer you had last time.
Okay, so one, I was like, when I first drank a little bit of it, I was like, this isn't too bad. But by the third one in, it was god awful. And then the next day, I felt like someone kicked me right dead in the nuts. So I don't know.
Hangover was bad.
Yeah, it was. I was like, God, and I didn't.
All the sugar. I guarantee it was all the sugar mixed with the alcohol, brother. That's what happened.
Yeah, that shit was fucking awful.
Just
Never
like wine,
again,
bro. Wine. That's how I feel about wine. If I drink too much wine, I wake up the next day and I just feel like I'm dead. I'm like, why don't I just die right now?
Well, Tank is a Sauvignon of the whiskey, if you would. And especially the Scotch whiskey. He's very much a Scotchman. So I would recommend, and here in the Appalachians or the Appalachias, as you get further south, I grew up in Maryland. So right on the border, the Mason-Dixon line, literally. So in the north, they say Appalachia. In the south, they say Appalachia. And I have no idea where I fit because technically I'm Southern.
Just make up your own, Bill.
Yeah. But a lot of Scott Irish in these areas and a lot of that heritage and Scotch. I don't know.
I recently got a hold of some Whistle Pig 12 and 15 year.
Oh yeah. I've had that. Yeah.
And I'm getting into whiskey now because of that. Like, the difference between like a 6-year and a 15-year whiskey.
That is huge, dude. Yeah.
The problem with bourbons, and I don't know enough about Whistle Pig to say one way or the other.
It's a rye whiskey.
Okay, then never mind. But the problem with a lot of bourbons is that there's kind of a lot of smoke and mirrors because most of these bourbons are made at kind of the same factories and they just slap different labels on them. So you'll take something that's like what's that one that everyone drinks? Pappy Van Winkle. It's like $150 or something. It's I don't know, maybe 6 years old or something. It's not that old, but it's like 6 years old. they ship it from Kentucky. It costs like $150 a bottle. This Lefroy is 10 years old. They ship it from Scotland. This was $60. So it's I don't. There's a lot of marketing. It's a lot of bullshit marketing. There's some good ones. I've had. Jefferson's pretty decent. I don't drink bourbon as much, but I tend to like ryes more. Really, I go Scotch, rye, then bourbon.
That's weird, like man. Because we talked about this before. I'm not really a fan of rye because of its heat. I'm okay with the taste of it, but it's just like that heat keeps lingering for me, and I can the bourbon I can sip a little bit easier, but I really like peaty scotches. I like it to taste like a campfire, dude. If it tastes like a campfire, I'm right there.
That's this one.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So if we ever get together in real life someday, we'll get whiskeys all around.
Should all go to Kentucky and go on the bourbon trail.
Okay. Yeah.
Y'all like to drink. That would be fun.
Well, believe it or not, Delaney, despite your accusations, this is the only time I drink anymore.
Oh, okay.
Although I did have 2 beers Monday, but no, I really haven't been drinking otherwise, except for on the show, and I don't think Tank really drinks either, other than
never
when he's on the show, or he goes fishing, or he's with his brother, or he's at
wife.
work.
I'm at work.
Yeah, I mean,
or he's with his wife,
or with a wife, or it's just the first thing in the morning. I haven't had any breakfast. That kind of thing.
This is a good segue to next Friday's stream where we will be.
I was actually going to bring that. It was way in front of you there, Jeremy. I actually was going to suggest. I'll let you advertise for me, though, man. Go for it.
There we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Next Friday, March 31st, here on the Ends Justify the Memes, Weekly Narrative will be joining the Ends Justify the Memes along with a bunch of other cast of characters in their Friday night drinking stream. Be sure to find us there, as I will be probably indulging in my 12-year Whistle Pig whiskey. Mm-hmm. Delaney, I don't know what she drinks, but we'll all be blasted, having a great time.
I'll probably have a PBR with Bill.
Because she does the lesbian.
I will probably also have whiskey, though. It'll be Wolford Reserve, most likely.
If this bottle makes it.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tank, you got to save that bottle, man.
If it makes it.
I thought that stream was on the 1st, not the 31st.
Yes.
April 2nd. It's a Friday.
Oh, April 2nd. We were all wrong.
I thought today was Friday. I was like, 7 days from now, that's the 31st, right? That's what happens when you let me do your advertisements.
All good.
All right, guys. So this is the real schedule. Next week, we will have Kit Cope on for sure. I hope in real life.
Fingers crossed.
So we've tried to do the thing with Kit twice. Kit is a 4-time world Muay Thai champ. I have met Kit in real life. I have Kit's phone number. It's not like, we're not trying to make this work. It just hasn't worked. So he should be on next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube, DLive, and Trovo, as well as Entropy. If you go over to the YouTube and you don't want to watch on YouTube, all the links are there. So you can hit anything else up. So Kit Cope will be on Wednesday, the 31st. And who knows what we'll talk to him about. We'll do memes. We'll talk about kickboxing. We'll talk about UFC fighting because he trains UFC fighters. We'll talk about all kinds of cool stuff. We'll probably talk about corporatism and the global takeover of the world because Kit is aware. He's aware. And then on April 2nd, being a Friday, we will have not just Jeremy and Delaney. We will have our friend Don the Pleb on. We will also have our friend Yiz the Eunuch. And from Yiz the Eunuch's Corner Club, our friend who we've had on a Saturday stream, which we do not do regularly, Kizza GT. They should all be on, and we should all be doing terrible things and talking trash and whatever else it is that we do.
Oh, yeah.
Really, what's going to happen is just going to be everyone pausing as we're all talking over each other, like,
Nobody will say anything because we're all just trying to not interrupt each other.
Yep.
Well, we'll try not to. The last one got a little wild, mainly because of Don, but apparently I doxed Tim Pool. I don't know how I doxed. I didn't give it out his address. Come on. Yeah, whatever. That's
Look,
on
I was going to point out that during that stream, I was the voice of reason, I'm never that guy. So,
Oh, you know something's up. Jake is the voice of reason and something.
I was like, hey guys, maybe we've gone too far.
Well, I did have whiskey.
Pull it back a little bit, guys.
Whiskey and 6% beers. They went down quick. And we streamed for 3 hours. So we'll probably have a 2-hour cutoff. And depending on how rowdy we get, it may be a once in a lifetime chance to watch, because otherwise we'll have to private it like the last one. So
Goodness.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good. Now that I know Don the Plebe is gonna be on, I'm excited because I watched that stream you guys did with him, and you guys did get a little rowdy, and it was very entertaining. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, no, Don's great. Don does good content. Don't agree with him on everything, but him and I are pretty close on most things, and much like you all, and same with Yiz actually. So and Kizza, Jeremy, you were talking about being just absolutely brutal, and Kizza's all about the brutality.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to having the governments that we would like to have, the societies that we would like to have.
I've got a lot of brutal ideas that I've never said on out in public before. They might come out on Friday.
Hell yes.
Well, that's fine, because we're going to private the stream anyway. So
Guys,
that's the time to do it.
Again, not this Friday, but 2 Fridays from now. This will be our first stream with several people on. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the internet explodes or ignores us one way or the other. With all that, any parting shots? Any parting shots before I get out of here?
Well, if you guys like our content, you can always find us Tuesdays and Saturdays. What time do we stream? 7 p.m. PST.
7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Over on youtube.com/weekly narrative. So there's my plug.
And they are linked in our description. Tank, you got anything, man?
Nah.
Nah. Mean. Has anyone ever said that? Nah, mean.
Nah, mean.
Just saying. Anyways, guys, this has been the Ends Justify the Memes. Remember, the ends always justify those memes. Play the outro tag.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah. Macho Madness, yeah, it's got more to offer.